Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Thursday, February 22nd, second show of the day here. The Jaguars just announced 10 coaching staff hires, 9 new hires, 1 promotion from within the staff. We're going to go ahead and dive into all these moves the Jaguars have formally announced here today. If you enjoy the content, though, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. So we already knew Ryan Nielsen. He had been announced as the Jaguars defensive coordinator, formally introduced during his press conference last week. He talked about a lot of these guys potentially, just getting finalized, and we've heard reports about some of these coaching hires already for the Jaguars. But talking about Ryan Nielsen, he's a tremendous up-and-coming defensive coordinator, had a stellar first year as a full-time DC in Atlanta last year with the Falcons, helped them improve on third down in the red zone greatly. And he's a guy that's all about being aggressive, being an attacking defense, nothing cheap, nothing deep. A guy that wants to play press coverage and also kind of have a little bit of a too high shell at times in the back end to where you're just not allowing anything deep and you're not allowing anything easy. He wants to have his defensive front be aggressive. He is a former defensive line coach. I think Ryan Nielsen is going to do a great job in Jacksonville. And now you talk about the staff that he hired to support him on the defensive side of the ball and also some offensive changes as well. Chris Richard, he is listed as the Jaguars defensive backs coach. I think he's going to be the top lieutenant for Ryan Nielsen. He was Nielsen's co-defensive coordinator in 2022 in New Orleans. He has consistently coached excellent secondaries for over a decade in the NFL. He and Nielsen were college teammates as well at USC. They go way back. They've done a tremendous job working together, but also Chris Richard, independent of Ryan Nielsen throughout his time as an NFL secondaries coach, again, has just coached a ton of really good secondaries. And it's a big win to get a guy like that on your staff. Matt House is the inside linebackers coach coming from LSU, where he was the defensive coordinator. He has a history as a linebackers coach in the NFL, coached the Chiefs linebackers for 3 years, also happened to be Jaguars Josh Allen's defensive coordinator at Kentucky, which is really interesting to see that connection. He wasn't his direct position coach at Kentucky. He did coach inside linebackers, where obviously Josh Allen was an outside linebacker edge player, but interesting to see that connection. And Matt House is a guy who's been in a lot of different places. Again, was a defensive coordinator last year, has history as a linebackers coach in the NFL. So I think that's a quality hire. Corey Robinson is a defensive assistant / cornerbacks coach. He had coached in New Orleans with Ryan Nielsen and Chris Richard, was a defensive analyst for the Tennessee Volunteers this past year. And the Jaguars, they hired 2 guys from the Tennessee Volunteers staff. So 2 Volunteers coming to Duval in 2024. I think Corey Robinson is a guy that they clearly valued and wanted here. Jeremy Garrett, another one who defensive line coach from Auburn. He had coached at Liberty. These defensive fronts have gotten a lot of production from him at the college level. He's also coached with the Browns. He's widely viewed as an up-and-coming coach, a guy that actually played under Ryan Nielsen at Ole Miss, so that's where that connection is. But I think Jeremy Garrett is someone who has the potential to really rise up the coaching ranks. And you talk about Ryan Nielsen hiring a defensive line coach. Nielsen is very particular about the details, the intricacies of coaching defensive line. And I think anybody who he hires as a defensive line coach is going to have to be that same way. He obviously has a lot of confidence in Jeremy Garrett. Looking at Mike Gray as the assistant secondary coach / defensive analyst, same role for Nielsen in Atlanta in 2023. The interesting thing here is Mike Gray is a Jacksonville native and actually played a year with Darius Williams at Creekside, where they overlapped there before he went off to college. So Mike Gray, welcome home to Duval County. Mario Jebariel, hopefully I did not butcher that name, assistant outside linebackers coach, was with Nielsen in Atlanta. So he's going to come in and, help out with the edge players, with Josh Allen, with Trayvon Walker, if Trayvon's still playing out on the edge, which I imagine he will be, and the rest of those guys. So that'll be interesting to have a second outside linebackers coach under Bill Shuey. Jeremy Mack was hired as the running back coach, replacing Bernie Parmalee. He's also from the Tennessee Volunteers, so the second of those Volunteers coaches coming over. As decorated as you can be as an HBCU coach. 3-time HBCU Coach of the Year. He has spent a lot of time interning around the NFL. So I think bringing in a guy like Jerry Mack is a big get. Somebody who has a ton of head coaching experience, lots of experience as a running backs coach. And hey, Tennessee has a pretty good running back coming out in the NFL draft this year. Maybe the Jaguars look to target him. We'll talk about him later on as we will get into a show where we kind of connect the dots with some of these coaches and potential draftable players from these coaches that are coming from the college ranks. Greg Austin was promoted to assistant offensive line coach. Jamel Mutunga is offensive quality control. He had been in Carolina in 2023, was also part of the Tony Dungy Diversity Coaching Fellowship. So look, that's the staff hires that the Jaguars announced today. On defense, it's all Ryan Nielsen guys, which is how it should be. He should be allowed to hire his staff. Overall, I like the new additions to that defensive staff a lot. You know, Chris Richard, Jeremy Garrett, Matt House, Corey Robinson, all very good coaches to come in and help Ryan Nielsen turn this defense into one of the best in football, which they looked like they were trending in that direction for a good portion of the beginning of the season, and then they fell off in such a big way under Mike Caldwell last year. One interesting point here is no passing game coordinator at this point hired by the Jaguars. They had a passing game coordinator the last 2 years. Each year, they had been poached for an offensive coordinator job, following the season. But certainly Frank Reich's name will be connected to that job potentially. Maybe some other passing game coordinator come in down the road. Not sure if they're going to hire one, if they're going to roll without one in 2024. We'll see how that plays out. But those are the Jaguars' 10 coaching hires they announced today. If you enjoy the content here, again, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one.